The agriculture sector is encouraging matriculants to look into a future in farming. The Transvaal Agriculture Union says future food security is in their hands.
Well, for more on this, the union's Bennie Van Zyl joins us for this conversation. Bennie, let's talk a little bit about really the impact we're seeing of young people, particularly within this agricultural space. I don't think we actually focus enough in terms of the value proposition that could actually be brought about by a younger generation.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to have a discussion about food security and the contribution that people should make to that. You know, when we talk about food on the table, it's not only about a farmer on his land that produce food. For sure, that is the baseline. You need commercial farmers that is economic driven. They should make profits. They should be sustained. That's the starting point of it. But the whole of the value chain is very important in this whole process to bring food up to our consumers. So for us, it's very important that people should start participating in this whole of the value chain. Even the other thing we also mentioned is that people should start thinking to become a teacher so that we can learn new younger people what it is about to be in the farming side of making a contribution to our economy. Because we all realize there will be no sustainable companies, businesses, if they don't have food on the table. So for any country, I think the biggest asset they do have is to keep their agricultural value line intact. And that is for us very important that we bring out that message so that people can realize, but this is a good opportunity for us. Accept the responsibility that life expect from us, and then take up the challenge and accept the responsibility and take up that challenge as well and become a good contributor for food security in our country.
Bennie, what are organizations like TAU South Africa doing to ensure that they help the Department of Basic Education to introduce agricultural studies? Because almost every pocket of society, almost everybody in South Africa is saying that this needs to be taught. So, for example, life orientation, some people are feeling that in life orientation, instead of teaching sex education, why don't you teach children about the benefits of saving, the benefits of investment? Why don't you, in fact, introduce K53 and teaching kids how to drive as early as 16, 17, or even 15 for that matter? So what are you as the TAU doing to ensure that kids know about food security, know about farming, know about agriculture as early as 16, 15?
Yeah, I think I do like your way of thinking, because I don't think at this stage that the outcome of our education is of such a nature that we bring someone in life that he can have already been qualified and have enough expertise to do something that make a contribution for our economy. And I think we should do some changes in that as well. It's very difficult for us as an organization. We are committed to work in a policy environment. And yes, we interact with government on all levels and see what we can do to get a better and sound policy to stabilize the agricultural sector. That is our obligation that we do have. But that is something that all of us should do. From our side, we held a lot of camps on the farms. Young people go out to the farms and say, go and experience the farm. So quite a lot of farms at this stage are already a place where young people can go and see how to milk a cow, how to plant maize, all those type of stuff. But this is something that we can do much more all over the whole spectrum. In the agricultural sector, the commodity organizations focus more on the speciality about that commodity. As we mentioned, we focus on the policy and they focus on how to grow maize, how to do that and that and that. It all depends what commodity we're talking about. But for us, we are very thankful. There was, at this stage, if I look into the statistics, in 2022, there was about 125,000, more than that, students, learners in schools that study agricultural science. And that is a good sign that learners already participating in the agricultural side. And at that schools where they do that, there's a lot of practical work that they learn how to do these things. And I think that's a huge contribution already. And we participate with all the agricultural schools, interact with them and bring them to our farmer days, invite the children to do that. So there's a lot of things already going on, but I think much more can be done.
Yeah, as you're speaking, Bennie, about how much more can be done, I think also what comes into mind is the future and the sustainability of our food value chain in this country. and how much attention is being drawn to what we need to do to sustain ourselves even having food. You know, and I wonder from an education perspective, is that message on food security specifically, on the sustainability of our food value chain, is it even translating? I mean, I hear the students that are going in that are learning about farming and learning about agriculture, but in that learning, I think there needs to be a slight awareness about if we don't take care of what we have, we may not have it for any much longer.
You are quite right, and I think that if you look into any country, I think the biggest asset that that country have is a productive, sustained commercial farmer that produce food for the market. We in South Africa do have already about more than 68% of our population is urbanized, and therefore we need that agricultural sector that can produce food for the markets. But thereafter, upfront and thereafter as well, the whole of the value chain make everyone his bit of contribution to make sure that there is safe and profitable and not too expensive food for the consumers on their table. And I think that there's a lot more that can be done. And I think the curriculum at this stage, the agricultural science curriculum is fine. But I think we have to look into the whole process in schools. What is the outcome at the end of the day for our children when they go out of the school? Do they know how to challenge their life with taking up the responsibility? Because a matric certificate is only the starting point. It's not as if you arrive and something should happen now to you. That is where you should start working, focus, study further, and take up some scholarships, go and look around, see what you can do to make a better environment for yourself. And I think that responsibility is very important for every young child, that they should take up that and don't think now they arrive and everything will be done for them. They should start doing it now for themselves.
Just before we let you go, Bennie, you know, one of the most contentious issues in South Africa has been the matter about land. So when an 18-year-old who has an interest in getting into the agriculture sector says to you, where am I going to be doing all of this practically? You know, when I'm going to do my practicals and I'm going to actually try and exercise, you know, agriculture and trying to become a farmer. You know, when you break it down to what it is exactly a young person is probably going to become is a farmer. Where am I going to do my practicals if, for example, my own family doesn't have a piece of land on which I can exercise? What then do, as the TAU, say to that?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question. Nowhere in the world, everybody in the country do have land. But what young people can do, they can start working with the companies in the agricultural value line and value chain, and there they can start interact with the agricultural sector. Get later on a little small piece of land, start with a small cattle farming or small, doesn't matter what it is, and bring himself up to a level that he can actually be at the end of the day a farmer in the agricultural sector. If you want to go on that route, but that's not the only route. There's a lot of other routes that can actually participate to make a contribution for food security. So everyone shouldn't think about only land and be a farmer. They should say, what can I do? And at the end of the day, the market sort this out. It's not so easy for anybody at this stage to become a farmer. There's a lot of skills. Finance is a huge problem for us at this stage to bring a new entry farmer into the process. But there is still opportunities. They can still participate in the whole process. But it all goes about how do they accept the responsibility for being what they choose to the occupation they choose. And in the value chain, there will be a lot of opportunities going open for them. If they just start participating, start working, show that they have the eagerness and the will to make a success out of it. And then they learn within that commodity organization or that company, say as a chemical company for the farmers. They have some interaction, then you have contacts, and that's a process. So it's not as easy that someone can put up his hand and say, where's my land? It will not work like that, never ever. So yes, it's a process and they should accept that and take up the responsibility.